wait.
Okay. Great. Good afternoon. We are here for the Murray City Municipal Council Committee of the Whole meeting, April 1st, 2025. First thing that we need to do is approve the Committee of the Whole minutes for March 4th, 2025. Do I have a motion and a second?
I move to approve the minutes of the committee of the whole March 4th, 2025.
I'll second. Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, any abstention? See none of that. The minutes are approved. Now we'll go on to our next. Discussion number 1 on an ordinance amending section 2.24.050, the heading of chapter 2.38 and section 2.38.010. 2.38020 and 2.40.020 of the Murray City Municipal Code, changing all reference from the Heritage Center to the Senior Recreation Center. G.L. Field will be present.
She's out.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah.
Thank you. We are excusing Adam until 5 o'clock. Go ahead.
Okay, thanks. This is a request to amend these ordinances in the ordinance heading to reflect a change in the name of the senior center from Heritage Center, Senior Rec Center. We changed that name several years ago, and these are simply cleanup, if you will, changes to make that consistent, but we changed the name too.
Why is Murray City on the front of that?
The front, it's L. Clark Cushing is what it's on, is what it's named after.
Did he pay money for his name?
I don't know. I wasn't here when it happened.
I know the name. Who was it? I mean, it was a well-known in Murray, or?
Doug may know, I don't know.
Do you know?
L. Clark Cushing?
L. Clark Cushing, why that was named?
Clark Cushing was a commissioner of back in the days when Murray City had its commissioner form of government. So before city council, the city had 3 commissioners that were elected to represent their areas or the city. And Clark was instrumental during the time that he was a commissioner, and he was over Parks and Recreation. And so a lot of I think the senior center and a lot of the Parks and Recreation facilities at that time, Clark had his hand in.
So we're taking his name off the.
No, it's still there, but in references in the code,
Okay,
it had been shortened to Heritage Center.
okay.
It's now shortened to Senior Recreation Center.
But
But his name still
L.
is.
Clark Cushing will still be there?
Mhm.
Okay, that's the
Doesn't
only
change.
question I have. Because if he gave money or if there is something written in a law or an ordinance
Mhm.
saying that he gave an estate money for
I
that
don't
building
believe
or,
he made a donation, it was just his service.
okay,
Honorarium.
okay. Any other questions from the council?
None.
Nope, I was just wondering why Murray City wasn't part of that.
I don't know.
Well, it would make it very long if you did that. L. Clark Cushing, Murray City, Senior City. Yeah,
Can't even say it.
I can't even say it.
Can we do the initials?
Oh,
It's in-
we gotta
it's-
be careful.
I mean, it's in the Murray City Code, and that's just assumed that it's ours, obviously. So, the actual name itself is after Mr.
We could
Cushing.
just have this city hall.
That's how I refer to it.
I can tell this is gonna
I'm
go
just-
well. This is off to a bad start.
Can't make your job too easy.
Oh, believe me, it's not easy. Any other questions?
I don't, just the L. Clark Cushing,
Okay.
and if he gave any money or some kind of inheritance that
If you really
the
deserve it.
recreation center, whatever, the senior center gets monthly, yearly, whatever. Okay, alrighty, thanks.
Darn it.
Who am I?
Okay, discussion item number 2, on a resolution authorizing, ratifying the execution of an internal local cooperation agreement between the city and Salt Lake County to provide election services to assist the city in conducting the city's 2025 municipal election. Brooke Smith is presenting. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me. This is just a quick introduction of our interlocal agreement that we do with the county to run our municipal elections. And we created a couple slides just to highlight some of the things that they do. Some major changes this year is they do have a 24-hour like surveillance on the on the drop boxes. And they do have to, by law, keep this storage and the footage of those videos for approximately a year.
Can I ask, so it's
Yeah.
footage? Okay.
Footage, yeah,
Right,
footage.
so not physically eyeballs
No.
on it, it's video.
Yeah, video, yeah, and that's
Gotcha.
all done with camera. They do daily ballot reconciliations and custody chain of logs, and then do recent real and perceived threats from the Salt Lake County, and nationally, the county now utilizes the sheriff's office deputies to retrieve ballots daily from the drop boxes instead of volunteers. So that's a little bit of an additional cost we've got going. They also do the ballot layouts, the printing, the mailing, delivery, they do audits, they have the machines and equipment and tabulating and basically everything behind the scenes for the election. So do a lot of great work. Just for some statistics, we have about 28.5 thousand active voters, and we do have 4 elected offices being run today. That active voter number will change with the annexation area, but it'll be like 50 people. So just to give you, our cost estimates will shift just a little bit.
That's in your district?
3,
Yeah.
district, yeah.
Okay.
The county gave us a good faith estimate for the cost, and it's basically based on how many people are gonna be in the primary versus the general election. And if you're in the primary, you have to be in the primary, there has to be more than 2 candidates running. So if there's 2 or less, then they just go to the general and skip that. And then also the ranked choice voting will take away some of the primary people. So they gave us a range. That base scenario is basically taken off because there's already gonna be some agencies that will have less than 2 people running, or they're doing ranked choice voting, so that's not even accessible to us now. And then we've got a high participation, which is 2/3 of the participating entities will run a primary, and that's gonna be an estimate of about $120,000. And then the low participation, which is 1/3, is up to close to $220,000. For the estimate for the election, I did a median of the total, and I rounded it up to $170,000 for our election. I'm hoping it will be a little bit less than that, but I wanted to give us a little cushion.
Why is the cost so much more on the low participation for the primary?
For the primary, for the low participation, wait, what are you saying?
So low participation.
It seems backwards, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
That's
So
what
on
I'm
the high
understanding.
participation,
Hi-
you're 38,000 for the primary, but for the low, you've got 137,000.
So the low basically means only 1/3 of the agencies are doing a primary, so there's less agencies. doing it.
Gotcha. Okay, so
the-
overall cost, they split it
Yeah.
amongst everybody?
Yeah.
Cool, that was confusing for me.
It is very confusing. And then I just have any questions?
I think that was the one I had, was the cost.
Yeah, that cost,
Just
they could have cleaned it up a little bit.
curious, what did previous elections cost us?
That is a great question, and I've got that. It was not as expensive, I will tell you that.
$170,000.
Yeah, in fact, they talked about that to me of our mayors and they were council mayors, and it went up a lot, and they told the county, and they pretty much wrong.
Is the county on the verge of pricing themselves out,
Or
or?
they just said, do it yourself, you
Yeah,
can do it yourself if you
Right.
want.
And Doug's made
good luck with
I
that.
know, that's where we're all
their
going.
elections that I can forward to you guys that kind of explains more in detail why
Yeah.
they made this decision.
I think last year nope, that's the wrong, sorry, let me pull up a different one. Spreadsheet, annual yearly cost. So last year we spent $63.4 thousand.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's
Wow.
it's
That was
funny.
not a mayoral
Oh,
election.
that's right.
That does
Yeah,
make
that's
a
true.
That's
Okay,
true.
so last mayoral, yeah.
So we have added,
About 60,000.
That one plus.
About 60,000 Lost Mayor.
Yeah,
So we could be almost 3
100,000.
plus, yeah, on the high end, 3 times what it was
Yeah.
before.
Oh, yeah, I do have,
Paranoia is expensive.
the code, there is a code, I do
That's
have a
true,
little
that.
slide saying the county policy is basically, the county shall establish an interlocal contract for service at the level which reflects the full cost and the actual direct costs plus overhead costs, so they only charge us the actual accrued cost. And that will be billed to us later on. But, and they did try to explain it too with inflations and some of the,
Is Tooele County looking for some business? Just saying.
I will say, I've gone to, they do testing and, they call it a testing and accuracy report, that you can go, the public can go. And the county is very, well established. They've got other cities and states checking out how they do it because their procedures are so well done. So I'm very confident with the security of our election process. And that's gonna cost us some money.
Can we go into the election business and run elections for other cities also?
Oh, right.
I mean, yeah,
We started tomorrow.
why not?
Yeah.
I don't know if I wanna take on that risk, but but yeah, they do a good job for what they provide. But yeah, it is expensive. It is very expensive.
So this is for full-on mailing ballot.
They'll be mail-in and we'll have the day elections.
Okay,
We might be at early voting center. I haven't heard yet whether we're gonna be selected for the early voting.
okay.
But they do like our facility, so I
And we weren't
won't be
last time, were
surprised.
we?
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they were here for the presidential election and they really liked our facility. So I wouldn't be surprised if they come back.
And how much do we charge for candidates?
I believe it's $95 to file
Yeah.
for candidacy.
it would be free, remember?
Yeah,
I know,
You pay for that.
yeah.
So,
Do you see this going to be changing and be a lot more money when 2028, is it? When?
for the county to run our elections? Oh, I don't know. Depends on what happens to the market and the inflation.
Because they voted that in,
Yeah.
the legislators did, on that new voting procedure.
Procedure and, well, and then you have to, I think you have to identify yourself when you turn in
Yes.
stuff.
Mhm.
So that will be extra manpower as well,
Okay.
so. Yeah.
Made of money.
Yep.
Do you think they're gonna move the ballot box? I know you don't know that question, you could get it.
We
Where's
just,
City Hall?
we just talked about this. Yeah, we did get several complaints last year for the ballot box not being close to us. The county could just called this afternoon and asked about moving it, so we're in discussion.
Perfect.
Do you guys have a preference? Would you like it here? 'Cause
Oh, I think
it
it's
makes sense
great
here.
if it's here, because your utility billing box is here.
Yeah, and that's where we'd probably put it.
Yeah,
An hour would be,
I think it should be too.
because that's just the through street.
That's for sure, yeah, but I think we'd have to put it on the Eagle side,
Yeah, probably.
and so I don't know if they would want us to do that.
okay, I was just curious about that. Well, if there's no other questions, I will adjourn this meeting and we'll reconvene at 5 o'clock in the council office, or council.
Okay,
Yep.
sweet deal.
I got 3 text messages.
5 o'clock, and that is the time for the Board of Directors special meeting for the Redevelopment Agency of Murray City. And welcome. Let's see.
Okay, can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear us?
Yep.
Okay.
All right, welcome to those in the audience, and also present on the dais is Brooke, Mayor Hales, G.L. Critchfield, our attorney, the RDA board members, which is Paul Pickett, Pam Cotter, Scott Goodman, myself, Diane Turner, and Adam Hawk is on the line. Right, Adam?
I'm here.
Okay. All right, so we are all here. So for the agenda, the first thing we have is the approval of minutes for February 18th, 2025. Are there any changes, additions to the minutes from the board?
No, I didn't see any.
Okay. All right, I would appreciate that we have
I will make a motion
a
to.
motion.
I will make a motion to approve the minutes of February 18th, 2025.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. And all in favor?
Aye.
Are there
Aye.
any opposed? Okay, seeing none, we will approve those minutes, and we will now go to citizen comments. So all citizen comments are limited to 3 minutes or less, and email comments will be entered into the meeting record. And just to let you know, we did receive one email comment from Karina Johnson, and that will be entered into the meeting record.
And I have a second one as well.
Oh, you've also got one?
Yeah, I just haven't printed off, so I can send
Okay.
it to Jennifer and we can get it added in, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And who is that from?
Janice, Mr. Bell.
Okay, then we'll have that be also part of the meeting record. Okay, so I will open it to citizen comments. Remember, 3 minutes. So now is the time.
Yeah, there we go.
I can't.
Push it, there, oh man. Okay, could I ask a procedural question before my minutes are started?
What is that?
So with the item, agenda item number 3 as an action item, is that similar to a public hearing?
No.
Where public comments are not allowed after the
Now is your
presentation?
time for
Okay.
public comment.
All right. Okay. So I do have some questions that I hope will be clarified prior to the decision on voting of the resolution. A couple of the things that I've noticed after going through the developer's agreement. There's no purchase price mentioned for this Block 1 property that's owned by the city to Rockworth. If so, this is now even more than what Edlin asked when the surplus, because the surplus property is now being added to the Block 1 property. And at the Edlin open house, when Brett Hales was a city council member, he directly told me that no way was the city going to give away prime downtown property to a developer. So my question is, what has changed that 180-degree turn for who is now our mayor? Lack of transparency. Edlin did a lot to be fully transparent in order to receive support of the community. But right now, it seems that the city feels they've heard enough from the citizens. They have made a few concessions from the look that Edlin proposed, but this is our downtown and possibly a part of the most iconic part of our downtown. Doesn't that deserve public input and not what feels like could be a backroom deal? And the reason why I'm saying backroom deal is there are many details that aren't provided for in the development agreement that, but now the RDA board is being asked to sign off before those details have been given. And some of those details are the purchase price for the city-owned portion of Block 1. If it's $0, say that. And the purchase price for the DAR properties isn't given because right now Rockworth is still purchasing it. But if they when they purchase it, and if the development is terminated, then the city is obligated to refund them the amount. And we don't even know what that amount is at this time. There's also at this point no estimate that I could see that's provided for moving the gas lines or the underground parking. Underground parking. With the very current experience that Murray has had with the Murray Theater, it's probably very clear that what could be found underneath Block 1 could be even more than just a hidden flowing creek. And even without taking into account the underground unknowns, does the city think that hiding the parking needs underground for this development is going to hide the additional expense that this will bring to the renters and commercial tenants? Okay, dismantling our nationally recognized historic downtown. I'm gonna have to skip some. Is the city willing to pay a lot of money for an imitation downtown to replace the real one we already have? Are we willing to demolish a 3-story classical revival building, the Harker, and replace it with only a 2-story building that is just trying to look historic? Thank you, and I hope those questions can get answered.
Thank you.
Hello, Council, Mayor. Phil Markham, Murray City resident. It's a pleasure to have a chance to come up and talk to you this evening. I think you know how I feel about this project. Contrary to being a secret deal, there has been more discussion, more information gathering on this project than I think almost any project the city has undertaken, or wanted to undertake, I hope. Historic downtown. The west side of State Street on our historic downtown is an embarrassment. The only purpose it serves is to notify people that are traveling south on State Street that they have entered Murray City because it looks like hell. Okay? This is a chance to do something, and it takes courage to do something. And you're working with a $100 million project. And if the city has to participate to make a $100 million investment in Murray, I can't see why they wouldn't do it. I really hope that you can find the courage, and it does take courage to do this and have progress. I have great hopes for Murray. There's a lot of wonderful things going on right now. And I would hate to have that momentum stunted. So thank you for the time.
Thank you, Phil.
Hello, Kathy White. I'm here as a citizen of Murray, not as anything chamber related. And I understand as far as the historic aspects of that development.
What is your name?
Oh, Kathy White. So
Thank you,
sorry,
Kathy.
Diane. I thought I said that. So, anyways, but I'm here because, as you know, I have a business degree. I understand the concept of business, and I think it actually would be a great thing for your Murray City to vote on, as far as to redevelop that and make it look better and bring more people, as far more businesses, and just make it be more an entertainment area. And that's what I personally think would be great for downtown right here. It's just, if you go to little towns across America, they go to main streets. That's where all the activity is. And right now it's an eyesore. It's an eyesore. And so that was what I would recommend as far as me as a citizen of Murray. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Council. Dale Cox, 912 West Bullion. You know, I was going to say a lot of other things, but I get so tired of the accusations that are thrown at the men and women up here. This has not been a secret endeavor. This has had more sunlight on it than when I was on the council, we turned down one over there because of that very thing. And the city learned from that. We brought the citizens in after the plan was done, and they didn't like it, so we voted it down. We walked away from it. This hasn't been like that. It hasn't been like that from the start. There's been surveys, there's been committees to study this. We're never going to get a project that everybody likes unless you buy the property and you build your project. It's never going to happen. But this has more citizen input. There's less than half the apartments that the other one had. There's more street frontage. It does have a historic look to it, or it will have. But it's been vacant for 2 decades or more. There's been no tax revenue. There's been nothing generated by this property. Now, a city needs to be able to generate revenue, whether it be sales tax or property tax. And while this piece of prime property sits vacant, other people are picking up that. I'm picking it up as a taxpayer. Businesses are picking it up as property taxpayers. And we need to develop this and relieve the tax burden of the people of Murray. Start generating revenue from this. Start making it look like something that we're proud of instead of an empty vacant lot. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Andrea Rich. I've lived in Murray for, I think, over 30 years. Paul's heard from me a few times in the last few months, but honestly, it's probably the second council meeting I've ever been to, and I feel it's important enough to come here because I'm tired of I don't feel like I should have an opinion or be upset about something unless I speak up. And I'm 100% for this project. I grew up in Holiday. I love what's happened in Holiday. I take my money, I go to Sugar House, I go to Mill Creek Commons, I go to Holiday to spend my money. I'd rather spend it here. I'd rather be able to bike downtown with we have a 6-year-old. I'd love to be able to do that and to eat at great restaurants, local restaurants, and have that feeling of community, because we don't really have that now. And so I appreciate what's going on. I read in the middle of the night, I started on page 142 last night, and I started to read like the whole legal agreement, and I don't know all the ins and outs of it, but I would just love to have a place where our family could meet and eat and socialize. And I don't know if there's going to be a walkable area. I couldn't quite see that. But it would be nice if there was like in Holiday where they don't have, cars can't go by and it's safe for kids to run around a little bit. But that's how I see Murray, and I appreciate the historicness of the downtown, but I feel like it's time to make a new Holiday, like Holiday's preserved. It's still Holiday and it's been there forever and it's old. You still have that feeling. I think we can create that in Murray without having to give up this project. Anyway, I'm all for it, so thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Hi, Susan Wright. I'm a business owner and a citizen. And this is directly across the street, this eyesore from my businesses. And I'm kind of tired of homeless people out ranting and raving while my little ballet kids are going into my ballet school. I would love to see this project. I have probably told 20 people in Murray, council people, redevelopment people, find who did Holiday and bring them down and do this downtown to Murray. This is exactly what the people want. You know, we need to have eateries down here. We need to have entertainment. You have so many apartments around here. You already have the audience. You just need to put on a show down here and bring some things, and put some things in for these people to spend money. Most of them could walk to it. So yes, I'm 100% for this. I have interest. It breaks my heart to see my old buildings look like hell, as Phil said, because it's true, they do. So I would like to see everything renovated nice, and to keep those two old homes, the Flower House, the Townsend House, and the little cottage. I would love to see those and everything integrated into something beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Leanne Parker Reed, citizen. I still have mixed feelings about all of this because we have had so many developments going on currently and still going on with a lot of high density stuff. And I see that you're trying to do a little bit lower density, but there's still so much of that going on. So my concern is, yes, let's redevelop the area. It certainly needs it. It's been needing it. But have we listened to our citizens completely? Because some of them are saying no to a lot of this, and there's some of the things that they requested in all of these meetings and these opportunities that they came to have open houses. I was at several of those myself, and I still want to see a lot more community feel and a lot less high city density feel. So I'm just saying, take a good look at what's actually planned, what's actually going to happen, instead of saying it's all going to be beautiful because that's what the nice picture looks like. But let's just make sure we're getting what we want and what the citizens have asked for. Appreciate that. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay. Seeing no more comments, we will continue. Thank you for those who made their comments. We really appreciate it. All right, we are now on number 3, which is an action item, and it is to consider a resolution authorizing the Redevelopment Agency of Murray City, the RDA, to enter into a development agreement with Murray City and Rockworth Companies for the redevelopment of property owned by the RDA and city, beginning at the southwest corner of 4800 South and State Street, and including a substantial portion of the property referred to as Block 1, located in Murray City, Salt Lake County, Utah. Chad Wilkinson will be presenting. Hi, Chad.
Hi, how are y'all? It's good to see you. Just came from walking a whole bunch of mixed-use developments in Denver at the National Planning Conference. Got off a plane, what was it, Zach? 2 hours ago. So we're fresh with some great perspectives from other communities as well. But I think what I wanted to mention is that, you know, this has been an ongoing process. We've had a lot of discussions about this. I have mentioned this before, but I'm coming in at a bit toward the end of this discussion on Block 1. And to give my perspective as someone that was here before, that has a great desire to see Murray flourish, before I get into the details of this, I think that the council's done a good job to give that perspective of someone that's worked in other communities. I think this really, we've got a developer that really has responded well to the comments that they've received and tried to address those in their design. So with that, I want to just walk through the development agreement. This picture again is of, and I want to give just a little bit of bearings. and my mouse doesn't want to go, but if you look on the foreground of that picture, that's State Street, of course. Going back, we've got Fifth Avenue here on the left-hand side of the picture, and then up there toward the top is 4800 South. So it's a pretty discrete chunk of downtown, doesn't include the entire downtown, and I think that's an important point to make as we continue this conversation tonight. As far as the development goes, again, this is another rendering of the buildings that have been proposed by the developer. These are exhibits to your development agreement. So as part of the development agreement discussion tonight, the developer is agreeing to build something that is substantially like what you're seeing tonight. There are some provisions of the development agreement that allow for some minor material changes as they go through the design process, but they're agreeing to build what you see on the screen tonight. As we go through, I'm having a hard time getting that to advance. We want to talk about what this development agreement does. The development agreement is the backbone of several other agreements that will come. It's important for us to have this development agreement in place before we create those other agreements. Those are appendages to this agreement. Those agreements will implement what you're approving or what you're considering tonight. I don't want to be presumptuous there, but what you're considering tonight as the council, this is the document that forms that backbone. Those other agreements will come to you at subsequent meetings. Those will implement the provisions that you're considering tonight as a council. So you can see that there's two disposition agreements. We've got two types of property. We've got properties that are owned by the RDA, properties that are owned by the city. We've got a participation agreement. The participation agreement talks about what you, as the RDA board, will agree to contribute to that. Now, all of those contributions are outlined in this development agreement tonight. What that participation agreement, again, will do is give the legal mechanism to implement that. So again, it's an appendage to this. And then there's a parking agreement. Now, the parking agreement is an interesting document because the parking agreement can't be entered into until after, should the developer decide to close on this property after going through some of the investigations. This parking agreement would come after that. So there is some time left, to look at some more of the details of that parking agreement. But again, the substance of that is included in your development agreement, what the developer is agreeing to do with the parking. So with that, I want to jump into the details of that agreement. So here are, whenever you have an agreement like this, there are things that the developer is contributing, there are things that the city would contribute. So in this case, the developer's contribution would be, again, they are under contract with that 0.42 acre DAR parcel that's part of this proposed development. They would contribute or construct 150 residential units, about 50,000 square feet of retail office space, some public and private parking, including surface and underground parking. They estimate their capital expenditure about $63 million. There are some sales tax and property tax generation that will change on the property as a result of the development. That is estimated to be about $526,000 annually. So that would be the annual sales and property tax generation. The estimated increase in increment generation, tax increment, is there at the bottom of that list, and that's $278,000 annually. In addition, as we've talked about in other meetings, the developer has agreed to build a project that's lower than the densities that are allowed by code. So building heights that are lower residential densities than what would be the maximum allowed by code. The developer has agreed to develop in accordance with our soon-to-be-adopted form-based code. That's been a parallel process. We're nearing the end of that process. We anticipate that'll go to the Planning Commission in the next few weeks. One thing that's important to note on that form-based code topic is that the development agreement acknowledges that's not quite adopted yet, but as part of that development agreement, the developer has agreed to follow that form-based code. Okay, now that's what the developer is bringing to the table as part of this development agreement. The RDA, in the development agreement, to answer one of the questions that was asked, the development agreement anticipates that the RDA would contribute, which means that it would be given, not sold, to the developer. It would be given as part of their contribution of their to the development, that 2.34 acres of property that's owned by the RDA. There's a value that's attached to that. We've included that value. It's $3.69 million. That was a recent appraisal that was done. The RDA is also, as part of this development agreement, would be agreeing to give $3 million towards that underground parking structure, and up to 1.5 million for a gas line relocation. Now, that's an important part of this, but I want to say that the gas line relocation is really, there could be zero contribution from the RDA to that. That comes down to, as we have further discussions with the gas company, if they elect to do that work completely by themselves, there would be no contribution. This contribution would only occur if the work was actually performed by the developer, and there would be some need to reimburse them for that. Now, this is an important point because this gas line has existed for a long time. It's something that needs to be done. We are hoping that as we talk with Enbridge, we've had several discussions with Enbridge, formerly Dominion, about that project. And at this point, we anticipate that that work would probably not fall to the developer, but just in case it does, we wanted to have that provision in there. The city also would contribute, now that's the RDA's contribution. The city would contribute about 3/4 of an acre parcel that's just across the street from us, 1.21 million. I did skip another developer contribution, and that is, as part of their parking structure, they would create 32 structured parking spaces that would be for city use. That would be, again, part of that parking agreement that will come to you at subsequent meetings, but they are agreeing to provide 32 structured parking spaces for city use. A couple of things that are also important is this part of this discussion. In the development agreement, it anticipates a 120-day feasibility period. What that period is an opportunity for the developer to go in and do some investigations related to environmental conditions of the property, see if there's anything that are further encumbrances, easements, other things that may be encumbering the property that we don't know about right now as they start to do that investigation. At the end of that period, the RDA, if the developer finds an encumbrance or an environmental condition that's not anticipated that they feel could make the project unfeasible, they come back to the RDA board and they can request that the RDA board contribute additionally to the project. That'll be completely at the RDA's discretion. The RDA can determine at that point that either they don't want to continue that to contribute more, or they can say, yes, we're willing to, or the developer can elect to just complete that work on their own and not come back to the RDA. So there's several different contingencies there. But again, and also the developer could simply say that after looking at those potential encumbrances, that the project just is unfeasible, and they can terminate that agreement at that point. If the developer opts to terminate the agreement for any of those reasons that I talked about, then the agreement includes the purchase of that DAR building from the developer at their cost. So they have a contract with the owners of the DAR building. If they close on that property and they purchase that, and they've started that process of taking ownership of that building, and they come to this point in the feasibility period and they have not been able to overcome, either through RDA help or their own contributions, those environmental conditions, then they have the option to terminate the agreement, and then the city would be, the RDA, would be obligated to purchase that property from them at their cost. So those are some big things. We mentioned before that, well, first let me go through the site plan a little bit. There's been some discussion and some public comment about the site planning. I want to point out a few things that I think are important in this site plan. I'm hoping I can get my mouse to work here so I can use that cursor to point them out. If not, I'll try to just talk you through them. Okay, we're gonna get some tech support here. Thank you, Elvon. There we go. I gotta go a little further. There we go. Found it. Okay, good. So, just wanted to point out a couple of things that are significant about this. You can see that one of the development patterns that you can see along State Street is that these buildings have not been proposed as one continuous space. There are areas where they've included some outdoor patio space for outdoor dining, to create an active space. That was one concern that's been brought up by some of the residents about what really is there as far as outdoor activity, about activating the space from an outdoors perspective. There are several areas here, three or four of these areas that are earmarked right along State Street for some outdoor landscaped area. You can also see the rest of the site. This is where, so to give people bearings, State Street is here on the right-hand side, 4800 South to the north, Hanover to the west, and 5th Avenue is here along the south. It's important to note that this project is just, this block one is just part of a greater plan for the entire downtown. This is not trying to implement the entire vision for downtown in one project. And I'm going to talk about why that's important in just a minute. But that's a general, so those who are curious about the boundaries, this project only covers that area, which is a portion of that area identified as Block 1. The city would still maintain ownership of this area, which I'll talk about a little bit more in a minute, as a public plaza area. This is the proposed underground parking. You can see it takes up a good chunk of that Block 1 area. And this is where those 32 city parking spaces are anticipated to be built. Okay, a couple of things that I want to talk about. There's been a lot of discussion about the open space and the public space. We agree with the public comments that's critical to our downtown planning. And we took a look at some of these great spaces that have been mentioned just to show you some of the size. So again, this is the area that we've designated on the right as an area for kind of this public plaza space. You know, we've got the Murray Mansion, the Townsend home, that small home there adjacent to the T Rose Diner. These are all areas that would be part of a larger plaza area, which I'll show in just a minute. But just wanted to give you an idea of size. So this is 0.89 acres, just about 9/10 of an acre. This is an area that people I'm sure are familiar with in Holiday. That's about just a little over half an acre. So the area, and sometimes these sizes, when you're in the space, it's hard to perceive that. But that area that we've got earmarked for that plaza space is actually quite a bit larger than the area at Holiday that has that kind of public space and where they've taken the street and turned it into pedestrian space. Another example that's been given is Farmington Station in some of the emails. Again, looking at that space, it's about 0.78 acres. We didn't include this because we're getting kind of into that movie theater and restaurant area that they have there, but if you include that, it's still a little bit smaller than the area that we've got earmarked for that plaza. As we add some additional public space that will be used for public gatherings and things in our downtown, that's this area just outside the window here, where we'll have Christmas tree lightings and other events. Again, we add another almost 3/4 of an acre. So again, just to give the council some perspective of what those areas look like. Again, sometimes when you're on the ground, it's hard to visualize that, but this is a fairly good-sized area that we have available for some public open space. And this is the vision that was, the design that was put together by a local landscape architect of what that could look like. You can see the potential to take that portion of Poplar Street and turn it into a pedestrian, shared pedestrian vehicle space if necessary, and create a really nice plaza right there. So it's a fairly large space. This plan anticipated areas for food trucks, for outdoor activity. So we think that's so important and critical to this as well, and we've tried to, as a city, account for that. Now, back to the original discussion, this development, the idea behind this development is that this is not necessarily meant to fill all those needs that we want as a city for our downtown. The downtown is a much larger area than just this Block 1. And just to give you an idea, of course, we've got a lot of area here in our historic downtown area. The area that's anticipated to be covered by our form-based code is approximately the area that I'm outlining. So that is a larger area, and issues that have been brought up, which are extremely important issues by the public, things like housing type, having a variety of housing types, all those important issues can be addressed as we continue to look at plans for redevelopment of our downtown. We want to have that variety of housing types. We want to have all those things that are desirable for a downtown. And this project is not meant to fulfill all those great things that we hope to see in our downtown. This is one piece of the puzzle, an extremely important piece of the puzzle that we, again, as staff, recommend that the council approve as a way to move forward on some of these great plans that the city's put together for our historic downtown. So I hope I answered most of the questions that I heard before. I think the bottom line is that, again, just to reiterate, this does involve contribution of city and RDA property. That's just contribution, not sale, as part of this, along with some additional RDA funds. I want to acknowledge the email that was sent that we talked about from Karina Johnson. I'm not going to read through every word of that, but some of the things that were brought up were green space, the types of housing, the importance of this, as part of the overall downtown, making downtown Murray a destination. Again, housing types. So I hope I've covered at least the the points of her email without going through each and every one of those points and reading them. We also received another email while you all were in committee of the whole meeting from Clark Bullen. And again, I won't read that entire email on the record, but it did express general support for the ideas, acknowledging that there are still some things we need to work on, and we'll be looking at some of those other agreements as we go. So with that, staff is recommending that the RDA board approve the resolution approving the development agreement between the RDA and Rockworth Development. And I'd be happy to answer any questions if I can.
Thank you, Chad. Okay, board.
I just want to make a couple of statements. One, I wish we had one more drawing like this one, except from the green side. You know, that would have been kind of a cool, because I didn't realize how big that green space is. I mean, that's huge. We look at it and the way it's in disarray right now with streets in the middle and stuff, it doesn't look big. But once you compare it to, you know, the Farmington Center, that I've been there and I thought, oh, this is a beautiful big space. Ours will be bigger. I'm really encouraged by that comparison. Thank you very much. And I'll save the other one for later. I'll let somebody else maybe ask something.
Thank you. Other comments for Chad?
Can you explain a word for me? Increment, what was the word, increment?
Taxing.
Tax increment generation, sure.
Increment generation, yeah.
Yes. So this is an RDA area, and part of that RDA area is to create an opportunity for the use of what they call tax increment. And just to give a quick, very quick summary of what that is, a long time ago, many, many years ago, decades ago, this area was created, and there was a value established of the property within the area, and a taxable value. And anything that has been gained from the time that area was created to now is the incremental difference between that previously established value and the value today. The agreement that we have with the taxing entities, which include the school district, Salt Lake County, some of the other smaller taxing entities within the county, allows us to use that incremental difference from that base value to today's value, taxable value, that tax generated, to reinvest in this area. So this project, just in and of itself, will include an increase in the property value, so will also increase that tax increment that's generated within this project boundary area, as well as what's being produced in the other areas of the RDA.
Chad, would you go back to that slide?
Tell me which one? This one?
That one.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm doing the math on this. We're giving up basically about 9 million, right, in land and possible money we'll have to forward. But we're getting back, I mean, annual sales and property tax generation, that's a swag. That's a complete guess, right, as far as what that'll generate.
It is, but it's an informed guess. It's based on the types of buildings, the square footage. These are things that consultants are able to plug in and say, yeah, this is what we, so it's not just, it's
Smart
not
guys with
completely.
calculators, I get it.
Right, it's a
Yeah.
good informed estimate, yep.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's all I have.
Okay. Hang on, council, because I have several questions.
Board.
So the council is going to be voting on this development agreement, correct? Tonight?
We're the RDA board.
The RDA board, yes. The RDA board is going to be voting on this tonight, correct?
Yes.
Okay. If the development agreement goes through, then the other 4 development agreements, which I've only gotten 3, I haven't gotten the 4th one, which I have not had time to read through it and come to you or your department with my questions. The council has gotten yet, okay. So my question is, will these, the ones that I got, will this be an automatic yes for this?
No, that's not an automatic yes. We're still looking at the terms of that. What you're agreeing, though, is that you will, in good faith, negotiate the terms of those agreements with the developer at that point.
So will this be an automatic yes, correct, on these three that I have? I don't have the fourth one.
No, again, it's not an automatic yes. It's an agreement that you will, in good faith, as an RDA board, negotiate the terms of those agreements that would implement that development agreement.
Okay. So the city is giving the following, and please go ahead and correct me if I have misunderstood any of this. We're giving $3 million for parking,
Yes, $3 million for help with the construction of the parking structure, yes. Yep.
giving the employees parking lot for $1.21 million,
That .76 acre parcel, yes, 1.21, yep.
giving Block 1, which is $3.69 million, okay? Reimbursement for the gas line relocation costs, if applicable, subject to actual costs, which I see as an open checkbook for the RDA agency. But I was told that Enbridge will help with this gas line, but there is no contract, correct, on this, or just word of mouth?
We don't have a contract. We're working with Enbridge. They have as a large company, they have their own process they have to go through. But we, again, in good faith, they have indicated at this point that their preference is that they do that work themselves, that they want to make sure for quality assurance purposes that they want to do that work. So this agreement has been being negotiated for a number of months. As with any large organization, sometimes just getting in front of the Enbridge folks takes some time. We've been able to get in front of them, though, a couple of times now, and so we feel reasonably comfortable that this number, if it applies at all, will be very, very little. Remember, this number only applies if the developer does the work. It's not, whether we're going to have a discussion with Enbridge about, them completing that work and where that happens. But if they decide to do the work themselves, Enbridge, then this 1.5 million would not be dispersed to the developer at all.
Okay. So I have the understanding that if the developer walks away and Rockworth has the Dar building, has bought the Dar building from the Brown family, then the city, or is it the RDA agency, will have to pay Rockworth back for the cost of the Dar building. Is that correct?
Yes, the RDA, in the development agreement, the RDA would purchase the Dar building at the developer's cost. If the development agreement was terminated because of one of those reasons we talked about, environmental or other encumbrances that we're not aware of at this point.
Okay. And the city didn't make Rockworth go to the Brown family or the Dar people about purchasing the Dar building. That was on their own doing, correct?
Yeah, as we've talked with them, we indicated that was a piece of the puzzle that we needed, and they were willing to go and negotiate individually. Yep.
So you did go talk to the Rockworth about purchasing the Dar building?
We've had discussions with them that is a piece of the property that the city doesn't own that we would like to have included in the development, certainly.
Okay. So I have a hard time thinking that the city is on the hook to reimburse Rockworth. But if you've already talked to Rockworth about purchasing the Dar building, I have a problem with that.
We've talked with Rockworth about that property being an important part of this Block 1 development. But their choice to go and negotiate with the Brown family is part of their effort to try to help redevelop this area.
And I have a problem with the RDA being on the hook for the Dar building. And so my next question, which I have not gotten a response back, is how much is in the RDA account right now? And I don't see Brenda here, so I do not know how much money is in the RDA account. So I would be curious on how much it is if we are on the hook for anything that is found underground, the gas line, and if everything goes south, the RDA agency is then on the hook for the Dar building. So I would like to know how much money is in the RDA account, and I don't have that question.
Yeah, the fund balance, I did have a chance to talk to Brenda. The fund balance sits just above $8 million right now, so we would have enough for, again, this project includes values up to a certain amount, but the actual expenditures, there's enough money in the fund balance to cover those.
Okay. And this is just something that I was thinking when I was reading this. Has the city gotten a check from Triumph yet? Do you know?
The city has not closed on the
Okay.
property there yet.
Will that money go into the city or into the RDA account?
That goes into the RDA.
So whatever, that will go into the RDA account?
That's right.
Okay. Let's talk about due diligence. Could you tell me what that means, due diligence?
Yeah, it's a term of art in real estate. It means that someone has an opportunity to go and investigate a property to see if there's anything that they find to be concerning. When you're buying a new home, for example, a due diligence period gives you a chance to have your own home inspection, make sure that you feel like the home meets your needs. It's a typical in any real estate transaction to have that period. In a large commercial transaction like this, that's usually a longer period because there is a need to look at some of those items. In this particular case, there's been some initial environmental work done, but this gives an opportunity.
When was that done?
It's been done ongoing as these different projects have been proposed. The last one was done 2021? So 2021 was the last one, and they have different grades of these environmental studies. This one was a phase 1. I don't think we've ever gone to phase 2. Is that correct? We have just phase 1s at this point. So we've had that first initial look at this, but this would give them a chance to look a little bit deeper into those potential environmental concerns, if any. We'll know when we go through that due diligence process of whether or not there is something concerning there.
Okay, so why is the city not having, or the RDA, not having the developer do a due diligence on Block 1? Why are they not doing that?
They are, and that's that feasibility period. Before Rockworth and the city were to close on the property, there's a feasibility period, another name for due diligence, that they'll go through and do some of those investigations that we talked about.
And then they will have already bought the DAR building, correct?
They will, yeah.
And so if the due diligence goes south, then the RDA board has to pay them for the DAR building, is that correct?
That's correct, per the development agreement, yep.
Okay, let me get a drink here.
Me too.
Thank you. Was there a due diligence done on the DAR building yet, or is that going to be done along with Block 1? When are they planning to do the due diligence on that building?
Yeah, they've been going through a due diligence period concurrent with our negotiations on the development agreement. So that due diligence period ends, I believe, April 11th for them.
April 11th? Okay, that's in 10 days, right?
That's correct.
So from this point on, the city won't have any developer do a due diligence then, correct? From this point on, because we have a gentleman that is doing the old smelter site, and the RDA board is making him do a due diligence. Can he come back and say to us, I'm not doing a due diligence because you're not having them do a due diligence. So can this person that is doing due diligence on the old smelter site come to the RDA board and say, I'm not doing it anymore?
They are doing a due diligence period. We're calling it a feasibility period, but it's has the same effect. They'll be going through a due diligence period with the property.
Okay. Is Rockworth here today?
Yes, we have representatives of Rockworth here. Yep.
Could one of them come up here? I have a question to ask.
You betcha.
Thanks. Could you state your name?
Yes, Adam Davis with the Rockworth Companies. How are you
Okay.
tonight?
Hi, I think I remember meeting with you up in the mayor's office.
Yes, we did.
And I asked you a really important question. Did you ever receive this survey at all? Did you receive it?
Yes, we did.
And did you read through it?
I did not personally, but people in our office did read through the survey, yes.
Okay, and did you read how it said no residential?
We are aware that the survey said no residential, yes.
Okay, I was just wanted to know if you happened to read that.
We did.
That it said no residential.
Yep.
Because I have several citizens that are very, 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 very concerned about residential
Sure.
and where it's coming in. And so, anyways, but I just wanted to check because I did not get that confirmed that you did get that survey.
We did.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Okay.
Thanks. Okay, so I have been told, Chad, apartments belong downtown. Maybe the city made some mistakes. I would accept this if the city didn't plop apartments all over the city.
I agree the city needs to do something on Block 1. I definitely believe that, okay? But not where there is 150 apartments. Has anyone been down here at night? Because I do. I come down here a lot because of Wingers. They have my popcorn, they have my wings, and they have my blackberry lemonade. And I go there at least twice a month. And I know it's busy. And my question is, how is Wingers, Ice House, Club 48, Tea Rose, Desert Star thriving without apartments here?
Well, we're happy for them, certainly.
Yeah.
We're excited that they're thriving. We want them to thrive. One important component with a downtown like this, and this is, you know, if you've ever visited a large city that doesn't have a residential component in their downtown, at night they do tend to become a ghost town. That becomes an area where people are sometimes even frightened to go because there's a lack of activity because the businesses have closed for the night. Many of you have probably visited some of those larger cities where you've seen that happen. I know I have. This is such a vital component to have some residential as part of this downtown. That brings activity to our downtown. It brings natural customers for those businesses that we're hoping will come as a result of this project. Thriving downtowns have residential components. You can see some of the work that's been done in some of our neighboring communities where they've built those residential units, and it creates that critical mass for a downtown to work and to function. So we think this is an important component. We think the developer has acknowledged the council and the public's concern about the densities of the residential that's proposed. The density is less than what is allowed by code. We've mentioned that before. That's an important thing to the community and the council, but we do think that this is an important part of creating that place. We're trying to create a place, and think of how wonderful that is for someone to live in this place and to go outside and to use that plaza space with their kids or their loved ones. That's what's going to make this a place, is having people here that live here, and that it's so important to having those eyes on the street, having people. That's going to create a better sense of safety to have housing in our downtown. So it's critically important. And again, I think this is an issue that's on everybody's minds right now: housing and affordability, and all these things that go with that. And we're keenly aware of that in our office, of course. We talk about this every day. But this is a good place for this housing. This is important for this project. It's important for the vitality of the downtown that you have envisioned. This is a great vision that you've had. This is a great vision that you've come up with as a community. And it's critical to have some housing to realize that vision.
And it's not a ghost town down here, because I was here, oh goodness, last Wednesday night, about 9 o'clock. I had to go buzz up to District 2 to get some things. FOE was parked all over. So I don't see this as a dead city area, because between all the businesses that are open at night, between Ice House, Club 48, Wingers, and FOE, and all these other, and Desert Star, I don't see it as a ghost town. And I don't know if residents will come into these businesses every single day if there's a taco place or a spaghetti place. I don't see residents going to those places and keeping them vitalized all the time. But my next question to you is about the parking and the stalls. No usage fee for city parking stall, but we are giving them $3 million for the 32 parking stalls, because that is in your parking agreement.
So you have a copy
And
of the draft parking agreement that we've been working on with the
Yeah.
developer. That'll come to you again at a later date.
Yeah.
I don't mean to interrupt. Is that?
No, go right ahead.
So I think I want to kind of walk back a little bit from the 3 million for the 32 parking spaces. That's the 3 million is for the parking structure. The developer has identified a need for some additional help. Structured parking is very expensive. I heard an estimate yesterday that said that 90,000 was sometimes the number the amount, $90,000 per space was the amount it cost. And I think that's maybe a little high for the market that we were in that particular discussion, but we know it's going to be expensive to build this parking. So it's not, we're not necessarily paying for 32 spaces. We're paying to help the developer, build a parking structure that allows for this type of development to go forward. And I think that's an important distinction, is that as part of that, they're going to agree to allow us to use 32 of those spaces. But our payment is to help them build that entire structure that's vital for creating the type of development that you all have envisioned down there, that to have enough parking for the businesses, to have enough parking for the public as they come to patronize those businesses, and for the people that are living there.
Okay, and then in it, it says reserve stalls, 3.2. It says from 7:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. So do the planning commissioners and those that work late at night for meetings, will they have to move their cars at 5:30 if the planning commissioners come in, or if we have some kind of event here and some of us are down there or whatever, do they have to move their vehicles out by 5:30?
No.
Or can they come in, the planning commissioners come in at 5:30 or whatever time and still be able to use those parking stalls?
Yeah, at this point, the vision is that no one's going to get kicked out of at that time from the city. Those would potentially become available. This is part of that parking agreement, though, and I think if the council has other concerns and other questions about that you can bring these up to the developer. They're here to listen to those tonight, but we're not approving the parking agreement tonight. There'll be additional opportunities for the council to come up with what the specifics are about how the mechanics of that parking agreement will work. So what we've given you is a draft, and what that draft acknowledges, number one, there will be a time period where it's exclusively for use by the city, that parking would be only available for city purposes during that time period. Whether or not we have other time periods that the city says we need those spaces for this particular use for this time period, that'll be something that we could potentially include in the details of that parking agreement. But what we're trying to establish tonight again is that the developer's agreeing that 32 of these parking spaces will be available for city use, and then we can negotiate the details of that as we get further along in the process. That is that implementation appendage of this backbone of the development agreement.
Okay, and then this participation and reimbursement agreement, on the very first page, it talks the Boulevard Civic Center from districts. The form-based code, if I was missing, because I haven't missed any council or RDA meeting except for one when we were in the old city hall, I was throwing up, but has the form-based code been passed yet?
It has not.
Okay, so here we're asked that the Boulevard Civic Center form districts refer to the two form districts within the Murray City Center form-based codes. So if this hasn't been voted on yet, why are we looking at this one if the form-based code hasn't been passed yet?
So the participation agreement is not up for vote tonight. That'll come at a later date. So I want to just make sure that that's clear. But the second piece of that is that there is a provision in the development agreement that indicates that if there are tweaks, if there are things that we need to look at as that goes through the adoption process. I will say that there's been a very robust public process for the form-based code as well. We've had members of our RDA board serving in their capacity as counselors that have served on a steering committee. We've had lots of public open houses and public meetings where we've talked about that, and the developer has been given those standards. So we feel comfortable that we're to a point with that process that changes will be at this point minor. Now, that being said, it is still part of a public process. We'll need to go through those public hearings, but there is in the development agreement a provision that says that both the developer and the city acknowledge that there might be some tweaks to the project and potentially to the form-based code in response to the fact that it has not yet been fully adopted.
And if that happens, does this agreement then is null and void?
No, the agreement actually has a provision that allows you to come back and discuss those changes. It gives the council a chance to look at those and say, we think these are substantial, or we think these are minor. And it does not take away the council's legislative authority to make the decisions on the form-based code.
Okay, and because we haven't gotten that fourth one,
The fourth one, thank you for bringing that back up. I meant to address that. The fourth one is going to be essentially a carbon copy of that other disposition agreement. There's a city property, there's an RDA property. The only differences really are the size and the legal description, but those provisions that apply to one will apply to both. So we need to get those, put into that other agreement, but it's going to be essentially the same.
And I'm not putting anybody on the spot, but my words may ruffle some feathers, and I don't mean to do this. But when I got the 3 development agreements last night at 4:48, I did not have time. And I don't know of any other department that can bring in late work, and for me as an RDA board member, be able to read it, comprehend it, and ask my questions to your department. And with the other one missing, I didn't have enough time. And today, I had a health issue, and I still didn't have time to read it. And I just felt like my hands are being tied to agree with this when I haven't had the time to read all the things that we were given at 4:48 last night until today. So that's where I stand on this. I wish I had more time. I wish I knew what was in the 3 more thoroughly, but just glancing at it, I don't.
Well, again, those other agreements will come before the council with your own review, your own ability to ask questions
And
about
that
those.
will come today?
No. Those will be at a future RDA meeting. You're not going to be asked to vote on any of those other agreements. Those, again, back to that first discussion, those are appendages of this backbone of an agreement. Those are there to implement the provisions of this development agreement. You'll have an opportunity to look at all those details with plenty of time to review, ask questions. We're not approving those tonight. The reason we gave those to you was to let you know that those have been actively worked on with the developer and with the city, that we've come to a point where we feel comfortable with the content enough to let you know that we are recommending to go forward with that backbone piece of this. Had we not felt comfortable with it, we wouldn't have brought this to you, but we do. So those will come later. You'll have plenty of time to look at those. The reason for that was to, again, let you know that we've got those to a state where we feel comfortable enough to go forward with this agreement tonight.
Okay. And if by chance the RDA or the council does not feel comfortable with this, then the city or RDA has to pay for the DAR building.
Does not feel comfortable with what, I'm sorry?
If the RDA board or the council are not comfortable with these agreements, the 3 plus the 4 that we're missing, and Rockworth goes and buys the DAR building, what happens with everything, and do we end up paying for the DAR building?
So those agreements are anticipated to come to you in 2 weeks. That'll be before their anticipated closing on the DAR building. So the developer won't have closed on that building at that point.
So I just don't see the rush. I just don't see the rush. I just feel like I'm being pushed and pushed and pushed when I don't have everything in front of me.
Well, I would suggest that you have, again, that the most important components, the framework of that development agreement is before you. Those other agreements will come to you at a future date. Again, what you're agreeing to tonight is to a good faith negotiation of those agreements that will occur later on. You will have plenty of time to look at those. There are, as with any transaction, there are deadlines that the developer is anxious to meet. And so one of the reasons we're here tonight is because we want to get this done in a timely manner for them to move forward with some of the other agreements that they have.
And when are they purchasing the DAR building again? Do you know?
I'm going to turn over the developer for that specifics.
Okay,
They don't want to
that
speak.
would be great, thank you. Can you state your name again?
Adam Davis with Rockworth Companies.
Thank you.
No problem. As Chad mentioned, we have a due diligence period that we're in right now that expires on April 11th. And then our closing date is April 30th.
With the DAR building?
With the DAR building, yes. Our closing is tied to, and I think this is why we're discussing this, it's tied to the approvals of these documents. And again, to your concern, we don't want to close until we have those approvals, just so you're not put in a position where we've closed and then you say no, and then you've got to come back and purchase the DAR building.
So could you go back to the DAR people and say, listen, we're being pushed? The RDA board and council feels like they're being pushed right now. Could you please hold off?
No, we cannot.
Okay.
We've already gone back to them once to push back, and we have pretty specific deadlines with them. Otherwise, we would not be able to purchase their property, which is a key piece to this whole thing.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, I think it's about time to continue on.
I would like to make one more statement, if that's okay.
Okay, just, Adam, do you have any questions? Anything you would like to add?
For Chad, we're just voting on the Rockworth project and not the green space project, right?
That's right. Yeah, the plaza information was given just as a way to let the council know what some of the planning efforts are in the downtown.
Okay, great.
Thanks, Adam. Yes.
If I were to make a simple analogy, if a young man comes up to me and says, I'd like to have a talk with you about your daughter, and says, I would like to take my relationship to the next level and ask for her hand in marriage, are you okay with that? Is this kind of what this is? We're saying we're good to move this relationship to the next level? And then we'll talk details about where the wedding's gonna look like and what flowers we're gonna use and things like that down the road?
I think that's as good of an analogy as I can come up with, yeah.
Okay. No shotgun here, we want to do it right. Young man's at the door, he's talking to us, and he says, I'd like to take this to the next level. Are you guys okay with that? And we're gonna vote on, are we okay with that? Okay.
And until it ends in a divorce.
Okay.
Can I ask the RDA board if we could have a continuation on this?
Would you like to put that in the form of a motion?
Yeah, I would like a motion to have a continuation of this vote until we have everything that we need as an RDA board, and I would like a continuation. I request that. And I ask that.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Of course not.
Sorry. No, I think the very important aspect on this is we are just voting on the relationship piece. That is all we are doing. All the other packets with the agreements later on. That's why. With all due respect.
Okay. Then I will entertain a motion for action item number 3.
I make a motion that we vote to enter into a developmental agreement between the RDA of Murray City and Rockworth Companies for the redevelopment of a property owned by Murray City and the RDA of Murray on 48 East and 48 South, including a substantial portion of the property referred to as Block 1.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there discussion on the motion? Okay, hearing none. Brooke, would you take the roll?
Mr. Hawk?
Aye.
Mr. Pickett?
Aye.
Ms. Cotter?
Nay.
Mr. Goodman?
Aye.
Ms. Turner?
Aye. Okay, the motion passes. And this is the last item, so we are adjourned. 6:30 and time for the Murray City Municipal Council for April 1st, 2025. And we are working on getting all council members here.
Yep, I was on my, yep. I'm here.
I don't know. I'm not close to enough.
Okay. Oh, there's Paul. Anyway, I'd like to welcome everyone. And I would appreciate it if you would all turn off your cell phones. And let's see who's here. We have Brooke, our recorder. She's not here, but she will be. Mayor Hales, G.L. Critchfield, who is our attorney. And council members present are Paul Pickett, Pam Cotter, Scott Goodman, Diane Turner, and Adam Hawk is joining us by phone. Are you there, Adam?
I'm there.
Okay. Anyway, so let's see. First off, we have the Pledge of Allegiance, which Jan Cox has said she would lead us in. Thank you, Jan. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Jan. All right, we have one set of minutes for March 4th, 2025. And I would appreciate a motion if there are no concerns or changes.
I move that we approve the minutes for March 4th, 2025.
We have a second?
I'll second it.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. None opposed, so it passes. We have approved those minutes. Okay, we are at the portion of the council meeting for citizen comments. And so what we need to do is the comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Step to the microphone, state your name and city of residence, and fill out the required form. So, citizen comments is open.
Good evening, Mayor Hales and City Council members.
Your name, please?
My name is Roseanne Coleman. I'm
Thank
a
you,
Murray City resident.
Okay.
I am currently on the advisory board for the Murray Active Aging Center, AKA known as Murray Senior Center. I wanted to share my thoughts, how the Senior Center has positively changed my life over the past few years. I began attending the center with a NIA class, and have since taken classes in watercolor, Tai Chi, yoga, strength conditioning, and TRX, and many more classes. I am an avid pickleball player, first taking lessons at the Senior Center. My quality of life has improved, and I've met so many nice people and interesting people while attending. As you can probably guess, the center offers more classes and programs each month than anyone could possibly participate in. I also enjoy lunch there several times a week. I cannot emphasize enough how great the Murray Senior Center is for our community. I have even heard it has saved lives. I would encourage the council to continue building on this vital community resource. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Roseanne. Okay, if there are no more citizen comments, we'll continue on with the agenda. And we are at special recognition. So the first one is to consider a joint resolution of the mayor and the Municipal Council of Murray City, Utah, in support of the Murray Exchange Club by recognizing and declaring April 2025 as Child Abuse Prevention Month. Mayor Hales will be presenting. Where is he? Oh, there he is. I should go.
I think it's kind of cool. You're kind of the one in the backbone of this, so. Thank you, council.
Can you hold on one second?
You bet.
We have some more Exchange Club members that just walked in. If they would like to come in, come up front.
Come on up. Hi, Jay. So thank you again for allowing us to do this. This is an important matter that Murray City has been involved with many years. Sherry Van Bibber and others have been huge in this declaration, and I've asked Sherry if she'll read it. I am going to tell you that we're going to meet, remind me again, we're going to meet a week from yesterday at 5300 South and State, where it says Murray City, the big sign there, and we're
In the parking lot.
yeah, in the parking, thank you. And the pinwheels will be there, is that correct, Sherry?
Yes.
So 6:30? 6 o'clock, 6 PM, so if you'd like to join us, we'd love to have you. But I've asked Sherry if she will read this for us, and then I will do the part where I come to you guys.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Sherry.
Thank you. We've had the opportunity to be doing this art club started in 2002. Am I right? Both of you?
May of 2002.
May of 2002 with the Murray Exchange Club, with the platform being prevention of child abuse, promoting Americanism and service to our youth and our community. So thanks for letting us be partners with you all for that long, and for sharing the Haunted Woods with us. Have to add that. This is a joint resolution of the mayor and the municipal council of Murray City, Utah, in support of the Murray Exchange Club, recognizing and declaring April 2025 as Child Abuse Prevention Month. Whereas the children of Murray are the future of our state's success, and investing in their general welfare, safety, and livelihood are the utmost important priority. And whereas all children deserve to grow up in a safe and nurturing environment to assure they reach their full potential as they grow and develop. And whereas the protection of children and strengthening of families is of concern and responsibility of all Murray citizens, because the wellness of our children affects our lives now and will continue to in the future. Whereas child abuse is a serious problem, with each child abuse case impacting an entire family and affecting the community as a whole. And whereas child abuse respects no racial, religious, socioeconomic, or geographic boundaries. And whereas all citizens of Murray need to become more aware of child abuse and its prevention within their respective communities, and actively encourage and support parents to raise their children in a safe and nurturing environment. And whereas preventing child abuse requires each member of the community to be attentive to the problems of the families, our families around us, and to commit to do everything we all can do to help. And whereas the National Exchange Club has adopted this cause as its national project and is supporting parent aid programs, parenting classes, educational programs, community service activities, tools, and is helping to make significant progress in stopping this crime against families and children. And whereas the Murray Exchange Club members are active and positive participants in the City of Murray in accordance with the standards of the National Exchange Club, and whereas the Murray Exchange Club is anxious and appreciative to share this worthwhile cause and opportunity with Murray City, now therefore the Mayor and City Council of Murray, on behalf of the citizens of Murray, proclaim April 2025 as Child Abuse Prevention Month, and we call upon all of our citizens to help renew their commitment to be educated to the impact of child abuse and join in working for its prevention within our communities. Be it further resolved that we are appreciative of the work, care, and concern that our victim advocates, police, and detectives put forth in dealing with these tough cases. It is our hope that child abuse numbers will decrease as families develop healthy, caring, nurturing, and loving relationships. And be it still further resolved, we commend the Murray Exchange Club for their continued efforts in helping families break free from this vicious cycle of child abuse. Our nation's greatest asset is our children. Our children deserve to grow up in a safe and nurturing environment and community to assure they reach their full potential.
Thank you. I wanted to be part of it. Thank you. Again, we want to say how much we appreciate you taking this on for, it was 2002, you said. This is, like I said, a huge deal to Murray City, and we love being a part of this. So thank you for involving us. And go ahead, come here.
Since 1974, it's been a national project for the Exchange Clubs. They celebrated their 100th anniversary on 2011, so been around a long time.
Great. Thank you for sharing that. All right, thank you again. So we will now turn it over to the council for approval and to adopt this first day of April 2025.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Sherry, and thank you, Exchange Club. We really appreciate your involvement in this. And I will take a motion.
I make a motion on the joint resolution of the mayor and the Municipal Council of Murray City, Utah, in support of the Murray Exchange Club by recognizing, declaring April 2025 as Child Abuse Prevention Month. Thank you.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion?
Nope.
Okay, then would you please take the roll, Brooke?
Mr. Hawk.
Aye.
Mr. Pickett.
Aye.
Ms. Cotter.
Aye.
Mr. Goodman.
Aye.
Ms. Turner.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you. You want to say something?
Thank you for everything that you guys do.
Thank you for everything you guys do too. And we invite everybody to come place pinwheels. We're going to be parked over at Costco on that corner and place them in front of the mural that's over there on April 7th. So please come join us to represent the cases that we have had in Murray over the past 2024.
April 7th at what time?
6 p.m.
6. Okay.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for staying there,
You're
Mayor.
welcome. Thanks for reminding me.
So we are at number 2 of our special recognition, which is to consider a joint resolution of the Mayor and Municipal Council of Murray City, Utah, declaring Thursday, May 1st, 2025 as Murray Arbor Day. And we have Jan Cox and the Mayor presenting. Welcome, Jan.
Greg, come up. We gotta have Greg come up, huh? Yeah. Now, Jan said, I really want to read this. And I said, no, I want to do it. It was opposite. Okay. And in order to get her and not go to St. George, I had to agree to that. So anyway, and Jan is our chair on the committee, and it's a brand-new committee because how many do we just have? The 3 still? 3 on the committee still?
Yes.
We're looking for 2 more. But it's a great project that they always do, and they're involved with everything. They're the ones that are involved with the Christmas lights celebration that we do. And so it's just a wonderful thing, and we appreciate all that you do. So, and Greg too, thank you for being here, and I'll go ahead and read that. Whereas Arbor Day is observed throughout the nation, even throughout the world, on April 25th, 2025, as trees, whenever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. And whereas no exact value can be placed on a tree, as a true value in the eyes of the beholder, and the psychological, emotional, spiritual relationship between people and trees is far-reaching and complex. And whereas trees can reduce the erosion of precious topsoil from wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife, as well as provide fun, shade, cover, and even safety for us and other living creatures. And whereas in preparing for the future, Murray City is committed, and we have always been committed to do this for years, to managing the confined spaces along streets and near buildings so we have a peaceful coexistence between trees, utilities, buildings, and people. And whereas Murray City's Shade Tree and Beautification Commission has its prime objective the beautification of our city by promoting the planting and care of trees and vegetation that will continually add beauty and value to our community, making it more enjoyable and desirable place to work, play, and live. As a Tree City USA now for 48 years, we are reminded that Murray is a city without equal. And therefore, we would like to turn that over to the council for it to be approved, and this will be on for Thursday, May 1st, 2025 as Murray Arbor Day.
Thank you, Mayor, and thanks for all you guys do. We really appreciate it. And I'll take a motion.
I make a motion that we approve the joint resolution declaring Thursday, May 1st, 2025 as Murray Arbor Day.
Is there a second?
I second it.
Discussion on the motion? If not, Brooke, would you call the roll?
Mr. Hawk,
Aye.
Mr. Pickett,
Aye.
Ms. Cotter,
Aye.
Mr. Goodman,
Aye.
Ms. Turner.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us, you guys. Okay, Mayor, one more.
Is that funny?
We have the consent agenda, and Mayor Hales will be presenting.
Okay, let me grab.
Okay, so this will be confirmation of the mayor's appointment of Sonia Jensen to the Public Safety Advisory Board for a term beginning March 1st, 2025 through March 1st, 2028. Mayor?
Thank you, Diane. Sonia, are you here? Come on up. How are you? Thanks for being here. She's awesome. That was a great interview we had with you. Thank you for being here. This is Sonia Jensen, and we would like to present her name to you as a consideration of my appointment for the Public Safety Advisory Board for a term beginning March 1st, 2025 throughout March 1st, 2028.
Okay, I will accept a motion.
There we are, right there. All right, I move to approve confirmation of mayor's appointment of Sonia Jensen to the Public Safety Advisory Board for a term beginning March 1, 2025 through March 1st, 2028.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. Would you call the roll?
Mr. Hawk,
Aye.
Mr. Pickett,
Aye.
Ms. Cotter,
Aye.
Mr. Goodman,
Aye.
Ms. Turner.
Aye. Okay,
All right,
thank you.
thank you so much. Thank you. We appreciate it.
Congratulations, Sonia, and thank you so much for your willingness to serve. We really appreciate it. Okay, now we're done with the consent agenda. We're at public hearings. And the first public hearing is to consider an ordinance relating to land use, which amends the general plan from low-density residential to residential business, and the zoning map from R18, which is single-family low-density, to RNB, which is residential neighborhood business. This is for the property located at 13th East and 6500 South. Zachary Smallwood is presenting. Hi, Zach.
Hello. Whoa, I was really close to that. Hello, council. I'm praying that these slides work today. Last time was phenomenal. So, as Councilwoman Turner had mentioned, this is a request from Post Investments to amend the future land use map of the general plan and the zoning map from low-density single-family residential to residential neighborhood business. So the property we have that we're speaking of is right here on 13th East, a little bit north of 6600 South. It used to be an old fire station that was county-owned. At some point in the past, it had closed. I apologize, I don't know the specific date. And we annexed in this area in 2003, and it's kind of sat pretty much vacant for quite a long time. I think somebody tried to use it as a house once, but it's just not very good use for a residence. So somebody has come forward to request that to be RNB. And here's the current zoning, so it's R18, and then we have some general office. Typically, we don't like to do spot zoning. However, we feel that the general office wouldn't really have felt really appropriate here. That could have allowed a lot more intense use as opposed to the residential neighborhood business that's been much more successful, especially along 9th East and Winchester. It's been a much more successful zone, in our opinion. Here's a map of the general plan. It looks pretty close to the zoning map, just that has broad categories as opposed to the zoning district. And with every application, we request that they provide a survey or a legal description, and that's showing this here. So low-density residential, this designation is intended for residential uses in established or planned neighborhoods, and you can see the different zoning districts there, all the way from A1, which is a minimum of 1 acre, to R210, which is 2 units on a 10,000 square foot lot. Residential business, this allows for mixed use, but in a different way, not the transit-oriented, high-density way. Attached dwellings or commercial development within primarily residential neighborhoods that is small in scale and has little impact and provides services for the nearby residential and or recreational areas. We highlighted recreational areas because the canal trail is just to the north of this property, and we see that as an opportunity to kind of activate that space. We can't get into specifics, but you could have a myriad of different types of businesses there that could contribute to some of those recreational areas. You could have like a small cafe, or like a dentist office, things like that, art studios, things like of that nature. And there's only one zoning district with this, that's the RNB, which is what they've applied for. Some of the zoning standards in the RNB compared to the R18. So substantially lower height by right, so only 20 feet compared to in the R18, which is 35. They are allowed to request to go up to 30 feet with a conditional use permit that's reviewed by the Planning Commission. Front yard setbacks are 25 feet in the R18 and 20 in the RNB zone. Rear yard setback is 25 feet or 20 feet in the RNB zone. Side yard setbacks are 8 with a total of 20. So like an 8 or 12, 10 and 10, however you get to 20. Same with the RNB. Corner yard setback, it's not going to apply here, it's not on a corner, but that is 20 feet. Parking required is 2 spaces per dwelling in the R18, and in the RNB, it's based on use. And I am going to admit that I missed something on this slide, but it's not all that important. So findings here, general plan provides for flexibility in the implementation and execution of the goals and policies based on the individual circumstances. Amending the future land use map of the general plan will allow for cohesion with neighboring residential uses. The proposed zone map amendment from R18 to RNB has been considered based on the characteristics of the site and the surrounding area. Those potential impacts of that change can be managed within the uses allowed in the RNB zone. And the proposed zone amendment from R18 to RNB conforms to important goals and objectives of the 2017 general plan and allow for an appropriate development of the subject property. The Planning Commission held a public hearing on this on January 2nd, 2025, and voted all in favor to forward a recommendation of approval. So with that, the Murray City Planning Commission and staff recommend adopting the ordinance that amends the general plan and the zoning map. And I'm happy to answer any questions you guys have.
Are there any questions at this point?
I think during the committee of the whole, you pretty much answered all our my questions anyways. The only thing is that I just didn't get the last page where it says staff recommendation and the other slide. I did not get that in my packet. But it's going to be an art studio, correct? Is that what you said?
That's what the applicant would like to do, but what's important is to make sure you're looking at the entire zone.
Right.
And all the uses within that zone.
Okay.
This applicant does want to do that, but it could change.
Okay, thank you.
Could change.
Yep.
Yeah, can always change.
It can always change.
Okay. All right, great. Oh, yes, Adam.
Zach, in the RMP zone, are there any incentives for adaptive reuse or repurposing?
Currently, no, there are not any. It's encouraged to use the existing property, but there's nothing that would incentivize anyone to keep the property.
Thank you, Adam. Okay, if there's nothing else, I will open the public hearing for public comments. Okay, seeing none, I will close the hearing and take it to the council for comments, a motion, or whatever you want to do.
I will make a motion to consider an ordinance relating to the land use, to approve the ordinance relating to land use amends the general plan from low-density residential to residential business and the zoning map from R-1-A, single-family low-density to R-N-B, residential neighborhood business for the property located at 1300 East, 6500 South Murray City.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there discussion on the motion? Okay. Brooke, would you call the roll?
Mr. Hawk?
Aye.
Mr. Pickett?
Aye.
Ms. Cotter?
Aye.
Mr. Goodman?
Aye.
Ms. Turner?
Aye. Thank you, Brooke. All right, we have one more public hearing. And this is to consider a resolution approving the 2024 Municipal Wastewater Planning Program Report, and Ben Ford will be presenting. Welcome, Ben.
There goes the applicants.
Good to be here. Okay, appreciate a few minutes of your time tonight, council. So before you is the wastewater planning program report. It's an annual report that has to be submitted. It's in your council packets. I'm just going to give a brief highlight on what's included in it. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to interrupt. So this is a annual required report, gives a financial overview of the wastewater fund. We have to report on our system maintenance, if we've had any SSOs, sanitary sewer overflows within the year, and how we are doing on our management plan, and how we are doing with our master plan, if there's any updates needed there. So the Murray Collection System, it's a grade 3 system. We have about 136 miles of pipe in the system, with pipe sizes ranging from 6-inch to 42-inch. And in 2024, we had 140 new residential connections and 2 new commercial connections. So this report does just cover Old Murray, serves about 9,600 connections. Everything above 9th East is serviced by Cottonwood Improvement District, and there's a small portion of the city that's served by Mount Olympus as well. So this just covers the Murray City service area. Within our system, we have 3 lift stations. These lift stations lift the sewer flows up to they pump it up where they can gravity flow down to the Central Valley Treatment Plant. And in total, these lift stations service about 2,600 homes. So the financial overview section, This just states basically, are we doing as a fund what we need to do to keep the fund stable? Do we have adequate increases? Are we funding our CIP program, funding our operations and maintenance program? And with the current funding in place, we are doing that. We have to report on the average monthly user charge. It was $55.58 last year. And we have recently done an impact fee study in 2023, and the impact fee for last year was $12.02. So we have to report on our sanitary sewer overflows. A class 1 is a major overflow. It's over 5,000 gallons, affects more than 5 private structures. We did not have any of those, which is a good thing. We did have one class 2, which was a basement backup. That was caused, we found a brick in the sewer main once we got done cleaning it and pulled that back. So as part of our maintenance system as well and preventing these SSOs, we have a company that comes in every year and treats the lines where we have known root issues, and treats those roots and kills those roots. And so we treated about 8,800 feet of footage with roots. So last year, part of our maintenance as well, we cleaned the system, we televised the system. Our crews, we have 2 combo jet trucks out there that clean the system. We have an awesome wastewater division. They cleaned a record high last year, 194 miles since I've been a part. And as far as I can trace records back to, that's the most that's ever been cleaned. So kudos to the guys in the division. We also got a new TV van last year, which allowed us to inspect more of the system. We cleaned TV to record high 46 miles of sewer pipe as well. So our system is a grade 3 system. I'm listed as the chief DRC operator. We have 3 grade 4 operators that are DRC, 4 grade 4s, and 2 grade 1 operators that help maintain the system. So part of that is our sanitary sewer management plan that we have to implement and follow. As part of this, we have to audit the plan every year, make sure it's being effective. If we need to change anything, it's a living document. So this last year, we audited our SOPs. We changed how we function a little bit in the department, and we updated those. The capacity assurance plan, the CCAP plan, that's also part of the master plan. That was last updated in 2021, and it's due to be updated this next budget year. It will receive an update. We have to report on that as well. So overall narrative, our collection system is in good shape. Our lift stations have all been recently upgraded and updated. Overall, with the age of our system, we do a great job maintaining it, and it's in phenomenal shape for the age. So that's my report. Does anybody have any questions? Riveting information.
Are there any questions? I just have one question. I mean, you've done a great job on this, and we really appreciate it. I'm curious, how much does one of those big, what are they called, sewer, the big sewer
The combo
cleaning?
trucks?
Yeah, how much are they?
They go up every year. So this year, we're looking at about $620,000 for a new truck.
620,000?
Just for reference, about when I started in the division 9 years ago, we spent $350,000 on a truck then.
Wow. Oh
And
my
it's still
goodness.
basically the same technology, that's just inflation, unfortunately.
That's crazy. And
Yeah.
how long do they last?
Typically 8 to 10 years. When we get to that range, we start to have quite a few issues, and we look to start replacing them.
And how old
around
is the one we have?
8 years.
Okay. Is it on your wish list?
It is, yeah. It is on your budget, yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
got it. All right, hearing no other questions from the council, I will open this public hearing for public comments. So are there any comments from the public regarding this? Okay, seeing none, I will close the hearing and turn it back to the council for comments, a motion.
I would like to make a motion. I move that we approve and adopt the 2024 municipal wastewater planning program report.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, Brooke?
Mr. Hawk?
Aye.
Mr. Pickett?
Aye.
Ms. Cotter?
Aye.
Mr. Goodman?
Aye.
Ms. Turner?
Aye. Okay, motion passes. And let's see, we'll continue on to the business items. And the first one is to consider an ordinance amending section 13.40.050D of the Murray City Municipal Code, changing fees in the Murray City Cemetery. And we have Bruce Holyoke presenting. Welcome, Bruce.
Thank you. It's nice to be here with you this evening. As discussed a couple of weeks ago in the Committee of the Whole, the Murray City Cemetery is proposing that we change or raise fees to come more in line with the fees that are charged by other public cemeteries in the valley. And so we discussed it a little bit more detail in that meeting about our proposals. And so it is our hope that the council will consider amending section 13.40.050D and change the fees of the Murray City Cemetery.
Okay, do you
questions?
have the specific fees and how much and?
Yeah, would you like me to go over that right
Yes.
now? Okay.
Yes, please.
So, our resident fee right now for, well, let's start with, I would like to start with the standard lots and the monument lots. There would be no change in those because they're not any more available.
Right.
So there would be no changes in that. There would be a change in the infant lot because there are some of those available. Currently, it is $400 for a resident, and it's $200 for a resident, and we're wishing to increase it to $400, and for a non-resident to $600 for an infant. So that's the lots. And then if we go into the standard opening and closing, right now a standard and a monument to open that, to bury a person, for a resident is $700, and for a non-resident, it's $500, and we're proposing to raise it to $700. And for a non-resident, it's $750 currently, and we're proposing to raise it to $900. Then if you look at the disinterment, which is it's currently for a resident $1,300, and we're proposing $2,000. Disinterments are messy. They're not something that we like to do. Our cemetery is unique in that our soil conditions are more stable and allows this more often, and so it is requested, but it's a messy situation to go through. The resident fee for a reburial to double depth is actually is at $2,000. Right now, we're proposing $3,500. That is a big increase, but that is to discourage that from happening, just because it is so difficult to do. And then if we look at some of the other ones in the niches that we offer now for cremains, currently it's $200 to have that engraving done, and we're requesting that it be raised to $250 to cover the cost, what it costs us to do that now. And that pretty well, and the other big thing is our overtime. When we're requested to do things after 3 p.m., we are at $100 an hour. We would propose to raise that to $300 to help discourage some of that from happening. But if it does happen, we want to be able to cover some of our costs for the overtime. And also on weekends, we're proposing to raise it as from $100 an hour to $150 an hour with a 3-hour minimum. So it'd be, we feel like that is fair. And that is lower than some of the cities and in line with some of the other cities as well, so. Okay,
Thank you, Bruce.
thank you.
All right, are there any questions from the council?
Yeah, not so much a question, but I know we had this discussion a couple weeks ago, just for the benefit of the people that weren't able to watch the Committee of the Whole meeting, but are either tuned in now or sitting here. This is not a business where we're trying to make money. This is just to recoup costs that are incurred in this business.
Correct, that is correct. Yeah, we're not making money on this at all.
Right.
So.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
It's
Scott.
more of a service.
Yes.
Okay. If there are no more questions, I would appreciate a motion.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. All right, I move to approve an ordinance amending section 13.40.050D of the Murray City Municipal Code, changing fees in the Murray City Cemetery.
I second it.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there discussion further? Okay. Brooke, would you call the roll?
Mr. Hawk,
Aye.
Mr. Pickett,
Aye.
Ms. Cotter. Aye. Mr. Goodman,
Aye.
Ms. Turner.
Aye. All right, we're now on business item number 2, which is to consider a resolution approving amendments to an interlocal cooperation agreement among Murray City, Bluffdale City, Draper City, Sandy City, South Jordan City, South Salt Lake City, West Jordan City, and West Valley City relating to the operations of the Metro Fire Agency. Doug Hill is presenting. Welcome, Doug.
Thank you. As Council Member Turner just read, Murray is one of 8 cities that has their own fire department that are members of the Metro Fire Agency. The purpose of Metro Fire is to provide cost-sharing measures with other city fire departments and also to provide mutual aid assistance from time to time. The Board of Trustees, which I am a member of and represent Murray City on Metro Fire Agency, recently voted to amend the interlocal agreement, and that's what is before you tonight. There are 2 minor changes that are being recommended. The first one is to remove the requirement that the Operations Committee of Metro Fire, which is a subcommittee of the board comprised of the fire chiefs of the cities, is to remove the requirement that they have to comply with the public and open meeting laws. This has been reviewed by city attorneys, and it's been determined that they are not, the committee itself is not subject to the public and open meeting laws. So that's the first change. The second change that's being recommended is that the requirement for preparing an annual budget be removed from the interlocal agreement, because the Metro Fire Agency does not collect revenue or have a budget that they have to put together every year. There's no need for having a requirement to prepare a budget. So those are the 2 changes, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Are there questions for Doug? Are you okay with these changes, Doug?
I am.
Okay.
I've talked to GL, consulted with GL Critchfield, our city attorney, on these issues, and we're comfortable with the changes.
Great. All right, then I would appreciate a motion.
I make a motion that we approve a resolution approving amendments to an interlocal cooperation agreement with the Metro Fire Agency.
Do we have a second?
I second it.
All right, are there any comments on the motion? Okay. All right, then we will have the roll.
Mr. Hawk,
Aye.
Mr. Pickett,
Aye.
Ms. Cotter.
Aye.
Mr. Goodman,
Aye.
Ms. Turner.
Aye. Okay, motion passes. All right, we are at number 3 of our business items, which is to consider a resolution authorizing and ratifying the execution of an interlocal cooperation agreement between the city and Salt Lake County to provide election services to assist the city in conducting the city's 2025 municipal election Brooke Smith will be conducting.
Thank
or
you.
be
Yeah.
presenting.
Yeah, this is just a request to enter into that interlocal agreement so the county can help us run our election for this year. Earlier today, I presented about some of the scope of work that they do with the cost, and I just would like to turn it back to the council. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Sounds good. Thank you, Brooke. We discussed this specifically in Committee of the Whole, and you did a great job, so
Thank you.
thank you for that information. So do we have comments? No, everybody's good? All right, I would appreciate a motion.
I would like to make a motion to approve and authorizing and ratifying the execution of an interlocal corporation agreement between the city and Salt Lake County to provide election service to assist the city in conducting the city's 2025 municipal election.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Brooke, would you call the roll?
Mr. Hawk?
Aye.
Mr. Pickett?
Aye.
Ms. Cotter?
Aye.
Mr. Goodman?
Aye.
Ms. Turner?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brooke. Okay. Now we are at our fourth and last business item, which is to consider a resolution authorizing Murray City to enter into a development agreement with the Redevelopment Agency of Murray City and Rockworth Companies for the redevelopment of property owned by Murray City and the Redevelopment Agency of Murray City beginning at 48 East, 4800 South, and including a substantial portion of the property referred to as Block 1, located in Murray City, Salt Lake County, Utah. Chad Wilkinson presenting.
Thank you.
Welcome, Chad.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just as a recap, for those that may have not been at our previous RDA meeting that we had just a few minutes ago, the RDA board did consider this item. This item now requires approval by the city council because this particular project has property owned both by the RDA, Redevelopment Agency of Murray, and the city council. So this is the portion of the meeting where you're wearing your city council hat instead of that redevelopment agency hat. So here we are. We talked about the project. This, of course, is Block 1. Talked a little bit about the project and what is being proposed. You can see the rendering of that project there in front of you on the screen. I'm going to just spend very briefly, go back through some of the points that we made in the RDA meeting, and out of respect for those that were here for that, I'm going to keep these comments brief, but I do want to go through it again for those that weren't in attendance. This is again the rendering of the residential portion of the development that I'll get into in just a moment, the details of that. Again, this agreement forms the backbone of a whole bunch of other agreements. I shouldn't say a whole bunch, we know the number. It's 4 additional agreements. We've got the 2 disposition agreements, which are the transfer of land agreements. We've got the participation agreement, which covers the RDA's portion of this agreement, which is the amount of tax increment dollars and monies that would be spent as part of this project. And then we've got a parking agreement that I'll talk a little bit more about in just a moment. Within the agreement, of course, there are things that both parties do. In this case, we have in the development agreement some contributions by the developer, some contributions by the RDA and by the city. I'm going to go through these really briefly just for the sake, again, of the public that may have not been in attendance at the RDA meeting. But Rockworth has proposed a project that includes 150 residential units, 48, close to 50,000 square feet of retail office, and private parking, including surface and some underground parking. They also, as part of that, will contribute the 0.42 acre DAR property that they are currently under contract with the Brown family to purchase. We estimate that the capital expenditure of this project would be right around $63 million by the developer to build this project, an increase of sales and property tax annually of about $500,000 for a little over $500,000 for the project. They've agreed at the city's request to build at a lower density than what's allowed by the current code. They've also agreed to give the city 32 structured parking spaces for use by the city. It's designed to meet the form-based code. We've had a lot of discussion back and forth with the developer about that, and that there will be new tax increment generation, which we talked about in some detail at the RDA meeting, of about $278,000 annually. In return, the RDA has the RDA board voted to contribute 2.34 acres of property valued at $3.69 million, $3 million toward a parking structure to be paid as the work is completed, and up to $1.5 million for gas line relocation. That's a gas line that's needed to be moved for a long time. This just provides a mechanism, should the developer have to be involved in that. We anticipate that Enbridge will likely do that work, but again, this has been an ongoing negotiation. We wanted to make sure if that did occur, that we had some way to account for that. So the RDA did vote on that piece of it just a few minutes ago. Well, now the city is here to vote on their participation in this, and the city would contribute about about 3/4 of an acre, of land that's valued at $1.21 million just across the street from us here. A couple other things of interest. There is a feasibility period for the developer to perform their due diligence work to make sure that there's no other environmental or other encumbrances on the property that may need to be addressed. If they do find something that is potentially makes the project unfeasible, they can come back to the RDA board and city council to ask for some additional help. That's completely at the discretion of the RDA of whether the RDA wants to contribute additional tax increment funding to the project. Should the council, the RDA decide that they don't, they can just simply, the developer could terminate the project, or they could complete the work on their own. The developer has that option to do that as well. Should none of those options work and the agreement be terminated, then the RDA has agreed as part of the adoption of their portion of this to purchase the DAR property back at the developer's cost. Got the project anticipated start date there soon. I think of course, the city's anxious and the developer's anxious as well to start this project as soon as feasible, possible. This is the site plan, the most recent site plan, just to orient the public on the very north side of the screen. The top is 4800 South, State Street to the east, Hanover Street to the west, and Fifth Avenue to the south. This is a proposed public plaza there's been some work done already. We'll talk about that just a little bit more in a moment. This is the proposed parking garage, underground parking garage, takes up quite a big chunk of Block 1. The 32 parking spaces that the developer has proposed to contribute as part of that development. Just want to talk just really briefly, I'm not going to go into the same amount of detail as I did in the RDA meeting, but these are just some comparisons of, there's been a great point brought up by many of the citizens about making sure we want to keep some open space and public gathering space in this downtown. This just compares the public downtown space in Holiday, about half an acre, to what we have as part of our planning efforts, which is just under 9/10 of an acre. Again, comparing that to other places that folks might be familiar with. Farmington Station's little area there that people may be familiar with. It's about just almost 8/10 of an acre, about 0.78. A little bit more if you add this little piece that's kind of in between the movie theater, but it's still a little bit less than what we have there. So that just gives you an idea of the scale of what we have available to us for those. And I bring that up, and then just again, we've got some other public space. I bring that up because this development, Block 1, is not the full story for our downtown. We plan to do a lot of great things in the downtown. The city's put together a lot of great plans over the years. This is a potential plan for that public open space, public plaza area that's just right across the street from us here. You can see the Murray Mansion. There's been some good planning work done to make that into a great public space, public gathering space. And you can see from those drawings I showed before that there's room to do that. Again, part of this is that this is one piece of the puzzle for our downtown. Our downtown, of course, contains a lot of property that will be under discussion over the coming years for projects that will help us revitalize our downtown. And this is one important, critical piece to that puzzle. And we again, staff would recommend that the council approve the resolution authorizing staff to enter into a development agreement with the developer for the development of Block 1. Be happy to answer any questions if I can.
Thank you, Chad. I would also like to say how much I appreciate the work that you've put into this. You've met with each of the council members one-on-one to make sure that we understand what's going on, the implications, answered all of our questions. And you've done some really good work, and I really appreciate it. So
thank you. Thanks very much.
Anyway, other comments for Chad?
I'm not going to go into my spiel that I did during RDA meeting. If anybody wants to watch that, they can, but I do want to make some comments that I need to make during the council meeting. The first question that not question, just a piece of information, that the city is giving the following, and you okayed this, that we are giving $3 million for parking. We're giving the employees parking lot for $1.21 million. We're giving Block 1, which is $3.69 million. We do not know about the gas line or lines yet. Enbridge said that they would help, but we don't have a contract or anything like that yet from Enbridge. It's just word of mouth, correct?
We've had conversations, but no contract yet.
Okay, okay, thank you. I also have the understanding that if the developer walks away, and Rockworth, has bought the Dar building from the Brown family, then the city, and I asked you, is it the RDA agency, and you said it was the RDA agency, will have to pay Rockworth back for the cost of the Dar building. And you said that was correct.
Yes.
And we don't know the cost of that yet, correct?
There is a cost. That might be a good question for the developer if you want to know that.
Okay, and is the developer still here? Can you tell me the cost of the Dar building yet, or has that not come to an agreement? Can you come to the microphone and state your name, please? Thank you.
Adam Davis with Rockworth Companies.
Okay.
And at this point, I cannot disclose the cost of the DAR parcel.
Okay. And when will that be disclosed?
We're working with Chad and staff to work through this due diligence period that we had discussed.
Okay.
And so after that period has expired.
Okay, and you told me during the RDA meeting you're going to buy it on April 11th, is that correct?
No, that's not correct. The due diligence period
Okay.
expires on April 11th.
Okay.
And the contract contemplates closing
On April
30th.
30th or something like that?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All righty. And then I asked how much money there was in the RDA account, Chad, and you said it was 8 million, correct?
Just over 8 million in the fund balance.
Okay. And then I asked about the Triumph, which is Old City Hall, and that check, which the city has not received, correct?
The city and the developer have not closed on that
Okay.
transaction.
And then that money goes into the RDA, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And then we talked about what due diligence was, and I asked Rockworth if they got it's my binder, but it was the survey that the city council spent $18,000 on the survey, and they said they did get the survey, which talks about no residential in this Block 1 area, correct? I asked that.
You did ask that, yes.
Yeah, and they got the survey, which states no residential at all in that survey. So that was told. Now, to close, I'd just like to make a comment to those that are here to listen about the downtown development agreement. I have been told apartments belong downtown. Maybe the city made some mistakes. I would accept this if the city didn't plop apartments all over the city. I agree the city needs to do something on Block 1. I agree with that. But not with 150 apartments that are going up. Plus, we have 450 apartments going up on Burger Lane on Commerce. Plus, we have the Murray Crossing and the Current, and we do not know what is going to be happening since I've been here since 1985. It was called the Fun Dome and then the Galleria. We don't even know what that looks like and how many people are going to be coming in there. So I asked if anybody has been downtown here at night, and I do. I go to Wingers. I like their food. Some people don't, and that's fine. But my question is, how is Wingers and Ice House and Club 48 and Tea Rose and the Desert Star thriving without the apartments? That was just a question that I threw out. So with that, I'm done.
Are there further questions of Chad? Adam, do you have any? Okay. All right, then I would appreciate a motion.
I'll move to approve a resolution authorizing Murray City to enter into a development agreement with the redevelopment agency of Murray City and Rockworth Companies for the redevelopment of property owned by Murray City and the redevelopment agency of Murray City, beginning at 48 East, 4800 South, and including a substantial portion of the property referred to as Block 1, located in Murray City, Salt Lake County, Utah.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there further comments on the motion? Okay, then Brooke, would you call the roll?
Mr. Hawk,
Nay.
Mr. Pickett,
Aye.
Ms. Cotter,
Nay.
Mr. Goodman,
Aye.
Ms. Turner.
Aye. Okay, that's our last business item. Now we go to the mayor's report and questions you might have for him from the council. Mayor?
Thank you, Diane. Just one observation, if you've noticed, it makes all the difference when you landscape. That museum, our mansion is being landscaped, and they've done a beautiful job. And they did a little research. Kim Sorensen and a few others did a research, and they will be painting that building. It's a cream. It's the original, from the original, with a little green on the siding of it. What is it? Yeah, windowsills, thank you. A little green there. And the sod, I think, being, Kim, you hear the sod will be put on tomorrow? Sorry. Sod tomorrow? Oh, he's coming forward. Here he comes. Tell us a little bit about what they're doing over there with the.
So I should let Bruce come up, but the sod is ordered. As soon as the weather cooperates and they can cut sod.
The sod's here.
Oh, is the sod here?
Yep, it's already out
Then
there.
the mayor knows more than I know. As soon as the weather cooperates, the sod will be laid. Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, you're welcome. And tell us a little bit about what you're talking about, the
So,
cream color.
if you drive by the mansion, you'll see that the porch is kind of a yellowy color. And maybe you like that, but most of us didn't like that, and our cultural arts people really didn't like it. So we had a company that had done some investigation on the interior of the colors. So the interior colors are all what we believe were original colors, and when you see them, you'll understand what I mean. They look great, but they're probably not something you would pick in today's world. So we had them come back and analyze the exterior. We had a couple of pieces of the exterior that were original, and they got down to the original colors, and it's kind of I call it cream. Others call it a real light yellow for the main color with a tint of green around the trim. It's going to look great, but it's definitely going to look different.
And yeah, it's great. I mean, honestly, it's a beautiful, beautiful building. And I'll tell you, 14 years ago when I started here, I'm not sure I even understood what restored meant. I understand now. It means dollars, but it is absolutely beautiful. The theater. So May 2nd will be the open house for our mansion, the new museum. June 2nd will be the open house for the Armory. That's the building that's over by Ken Price, Boys Girls Club. That will be an indoor event center, and you need to see this. It's absolutely beautiful. It'll hold 300 and so many people. We don't have anything like that in Murray here, so we're excited. So we restored that building. We are probably about 3 or 4 months away from finishing the restoration of the Murray Theater, which is absolutely beautiful. And then we will continue to restore, with the council's approval with money, the Townsend home. But I'm telling you, when the citizens said they wanted restoration, we have done that. We are restoring. There's some things that we're not able to afford to do, but we have done those major 4 or 5 projects, which we're pretty proud of. And it's going to be absolutely beautiful. So May 2nd will be the next thing that will be happening for the Murray Mansion. We would love to have everyone attend, and that's my report, Council.
Thank you, Mayor, and we are adjourned.